meeting. And Guida, could you just have a welcome for everybody?
Yeah, I want to give a warm welcome to everyone that's here this morning. I know everyone is from every part of the world here this morning, and thank you for getting up on my time early to be here. And we want to give a warm welcome to Elliott, our governor, who's visiting us today. And also we look forward to working with him and the district, and also supporting the district and also what we're doing also within the space. And I just want to just say welcome today. And thank you all for being here. All right, you can take it away.
Thank you, much appreciated. How come you're coming in twice? There we go. Okay, that's Pavlo. Pavlo's coming in from Nepal. So I also want to recognize Joyce Graff here today. She's the governor after Elliott, and also is very supportive of what we're doing here. So I'm also are you prepared to do the four-way test? You're muted.
Yeah, I didn't get you then.
Would you like to do the four-way test? I can pull it up here if you want.
Okay.
Just gonna read it. There you go.
Yes. Yesterday, it was not planned, but still Ken and I was able to just have an informal WhatsApp conversation on this. Let me just take it so that I will not miss what we discussed for a while. Give me a second. Okay, basically, how I look at the four-way test is, since the terms are a bit more generic, we can always interpret it to the context that we are in. So what I'm trying to say is, what I consider as fair is not fair in another context. So since we are from every part of the world, so I basically think that the four-way test could be given a context so that we could interpret it in a way that it can work for the benefit of providing service. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So the four-way test is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Elliott, what Sanun is referring to is that it's many interpretations of the four-way test. I think it would be a very healthy sometime to have a Rotary discussion on what does it mean to many people, because you can interpret it in many different ways. It was written over 100 years ago. It's still a solid part of Rotary today. But as you talk to Rotarians around the world, they have different interpretations of what that is. So a discussion sometime would be good.
I agree. I think that's the beauty of the four-way test, is that it endures both over time and over distance. And it's unique and strong enough that it can be applied in a wide range of circumstances. And sometimes the answer to one of those questions may not be the same depending on where you are and what you're doing and what the time is. But in general, the principles are wonderful and serve as a guiding light for us. So I think you're absolutely correct.
I 100% agree on that. So thank you. So Elliott has been with us for 2 years, from the day we got started over 2 years ago. Always there, always supportive of what we're doing, always willing to come and help out whenever there was something. So we've been waiting 2 years for you to become district governor, and we're so happy that this day has finally come. Are we your first meeting of your year?
You are. This is my first official club visit, and and the interesting part about that, pardon the background noise, but the interesting part about that is that as my first club visit, you're also probably going to be the most unique club visit we have because of all the different places people here come from and all the different interests that we represent in this. I'd like to use the word room, but I'll use the word Zoom. So.
Thank you, Ellie. I'm going to turn it over to you. If you could just kind of introduce who you are, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you everyone for taking the time to come and join us this morning at this meeting. I know that there are folks from all over the world here at different time zones, and I appreciate your taking that time to join me. As I mentioned, this will be a little bit different because in most of our traditional clubs, we have a pretty set agenda of what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to help them. Since this club is so unique, that agenda is a little different and a little more fluid. And as much as I'm here to share my vision this morning, I also want to hear from you about your vision and what you're trying to accomplish. Ken and I have had several exchanges about that, but I'd really also like to hear from our members, their feelings on where we want to take this. So to back up just a little bit and introduce myself, again, as Ken said, my name is Elliott Rittenberg, and I am with the Rotary Club of Westborough, Massachusetts. For those who aren't familiar with our area, Massachusetts, of course, is located in New England in the United States, and my club is located just about halfway across the state, and near the next largest city next to us is a place called Worcester, Massachusetts. I've been in Rotary for now it's 14 years this year. I've served as club president twice, in a number of other positions within the club, including club treasurer and various committees. And I've done some work at the district level as well. Spent the past 2.5 years or so, 3 years, training to become district governor, as Joyce is also now going through, and became district governor just back on July 1st. So I'm honored and privileged to have this opportunity to work with all of our members and help advance the causes and objects of Rotary wherever we can. With that, I'd like to talk a little bit first about our theme for the coming year, because I think our theme this year is particularly special. Our theme this year is Create Hope in the World. As you can see, it's up on the top right corner of my Zoom screen. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about where that theme came from, because I think it's important to understand the person behind it as well. And that's a fellow by the name of Gordon McAnally. Now, Gordon is the incoming Rotary International president. And one of the things that the international president is asked to do shortly after he becomes the president nominee a few years before attaining office is to come up with a theme for their year. Every president has a theme, and I'm sure you've been familiar with a number of them. If you've been around Rotary more than a year or two, you've seen these themes change. Last year, the theme was Imagine. Before that, there was a theme called Rotary Opens Opportunities. And each year, the new president comes in and reveals his theme or her theme. And it's a big deal. It's one of the few things that there's a lot of secrecy around in Rotary because they want to be careful that the theme isn't divulged too early before it's appropriate. And it's traditionally done at a conference called International Assembly in Florida, when all of the district governors from around the world gather for their final major piece of training. So Gordon tells this story about how he came up with the theme. And but before I tell you that, I'll tell you a little something about Gordon, just a few words. He's an incredibly impressive and incredibly real individual. I'm honored to have the opportunity to work with him this year. And just to give you an idea of who he is, he's this big, kind of 6'2", 6'3", strapping fellow. And the first time I was introduced to him, he's standing on a stage in front of a couple of thousand people, wearing his Scottish kilt and addressing the audience, and he's talking about love. And that was his entire platform during that first introduction I had with him. And everything that you hear from him puts forward that kind of kindness and that warmth that I think is really essential in the work that we do today and going forward. So Gordon tells the story about this theme that he came up with, Create Hope in the World, as he was in Thailand back in 2004. And while he was in Thailand, he was helping a village rebuild their infrastructure and homes after a devastating tsunami that went through Thailand back in 2004, just before he got there. Rotary sent a team there to help rebuild the village and to help assist the people who were devastated by the storm. And while he was there, he ran into a woman who told him her story. And that story was that this woman lost her husband, she lost her home, she lost her son, daughter, and her livelihood, all as a result of the storm. She was devastated and left with almost nothing. But she did have this beautiful seashell. And if you look at the logo, the graphic for the Create Hope in the World, and if you saw the seashell Gordon showed us when he made this presentation and told us the story, you could see how the theme logo looks like that seashell. And she wanted to give Gordon this seashell, and of course he didn't want to take it. The way he tells the story, he looked at it as her last possession of any value. How could he take it from her after everything that she'd been through? But she insisted on giving it to him. And the way that Gordon tells the story is when he asked, "Why would you want to give me this?" The woman responded that even in the result of all her losses, the fact that Rotary was there helping rebuild her village, rebuild their homes, and rebuild their community gave her hope in the world, gave her hope that she could continue. And that's where this theme and this theme graphic comes from. It comes from that incident, that story that Gordon tells about this woman who still, in spite of everything that went on, found hope in what we were able to do. And I think that's a wonderful message as we go forward and try and find our place in the world and find how we can help other people in advancing the object of Rotary. So with that said, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the vision that we have going forward for the year for our district in general. And then maybe we can open it up to how these ideas fit into what the World Disability Advocacy Club is trying to accomplish as well. So we have actually, there are 5 areas that I'm interested in promoting over the next year. And the other thing that we do that's very important, I think, in our district is we're really trying to foster continuity so that as we engage in these activities, what we start this year doesn't end when I leave office, and what Joyce wants to do next year can begin this year while we're still in office, so that we have this continuity, so that we have continuance in our vision, and that we're not resetting the clock or reinventing the wheel each year. So the 5 areas that we're interested in promoting and these are not in particular the order that we want to promote them. I think they're all of equal importance. But the first one is training and strategy for our club officers. One of the things that we're working on under Joyce's leadership actually is putting together a training program for our club officers and club leaders. And what we're trying to do is to put together a kind of bite-sized portions of information that club leaders can access whenever they need to. We have a meeting. I think our first meeting is actually tonight with a team that's going to be developing curriculum and then the methods to deliver that curriculum, whether it's through podcasts or video podcasts that people can access when they need. And so that this information is available all the time, rather than through a series of short training conferences, which has been the traditional way that we do that, and allow us to address the training needs in more detail so that people have that information when they need it. The idea behind all of that is that if we take the mystery out of what it means to run a Rotary Club and to make a Rotary Club successful, if we make that obvious, then we feel that more people will want to step up and undertake that responsibility of leading and enjoy the opportunity to lead their club, because we know that people who do step into leadership positions get a lot more out of Rotary than those who just stay in the background and show up. So we're really encouraging that kind of engagement. The next thing that we're trying to accomplish is to educate our members about Rotary beyond the club. Now, this group here, this club, is a little bit different because you are so well distributed throughout the world. There are people from many different places here, and that kind of almost forces you to be looking at what Rotary is beyond the club. And what we mean by that is to, explore the organization, to learn about things like our Rotary fellowships, which are groups of people that get together and meet to pursue interests that are common to them. And these are like hobbies, and they could be anything from bike riding to whitewater rafting to weaving and sewing, any kind of hobby that one might wants to engage in. There's probably a fellowship for that. And I think Ken mentioned that someone's trying to start a fellowship within this group as well. And we'd love to help with that. In addition to fellowships, we have something called Rotary action groups. And an action group is a group of people that are more on a professional level and dedicated to solving a problem. For instance, we have the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, SRAG, which is dedicated to addressing environmental issues. There's the Addiction Prevention Action Group, which deals with substance abuse. And the one that is getting a lot of attention this year is the Mental Health Action Group, which Gordon has highlighted as one of his major initiatives. And I'll talk about that in a little bit further. The next area that we are looking to really focus on in the coming year is environmental sustainability. We believe, many of us believe, that Rotary can take a leadership position in helping to solve environmental sustainability issues. We've been kind of slow to engage in that area. And since 2014, there's been a group of people that have been working to get Rotary on the map for environmental sustainability. And that finally happened back in 2020 when Rotary adopted environmental sustainability as our 7th area of focus. So that means now that there's the ability to obtain grants for environmental issues. There's technical support through SRAG, or the Environmental Sustainability Action Group. And there's a lot of focus on environmental issues. Our district is going to be participating or leading a global grant next March when we go to Guatemala to plant mangroves and to replant mangroves in areas where mangroves have been decimated due to industrial shrimp farming and other practices. And why mangroves? Because mangroves are the most efficient plant at returning carbon to the earth. They're very efficient at pulling carbon out of the atmosphere. And Rotary actually has 25 or 30 projects around the world specifically dedicated to mangrove restoration. There's many other things we can do in that area, and we're working here in the district with our district committee to put together a program about environmental education, and we'll be rolling information out about that over the next several months. The fourth area that we're interested in highlighting as we go forward into this year, and the one that is consistent with President Gordon's initiative, is in the area of mental health. As we talked about a little earlier, the Rotary Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives is going to lead Rotary for Gordon's initiative in promoting mental health. And if we have enough time at the end of this, I have about a 9-minute video from Gordon that explains why he's interested in this. If not, I'll send the link over and you guys can all watch it when you have an opportunity. But Gordon has a very personal experience with mental health, and he's really focused on Rotary becoming a key player in leading the way towards the establishment of mental health services, and to help foster discussions to remove the stigma about mental health issues, so that people aren't afraid to go out and get help and are able to seek the treatment they need. One of the things that he likes to say is that the mental health system isn't broken, it just hasn't even been built yet. And in a lot of ways, I completely agree with that. Trying to find help and trying to get services is not easy no matter where you are. And that's one thing where we think Rotary can help play a big part. And finally, the last major area that we'll be focusing on is to continue our journey towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's a very broad-ranging topic. It goes directly towards our desire to increase our kindness to each other, to become welcoming, and to make sure that anyone who wants to be part of a Rotary Club or part of one of our action groups or fellowships feels welcome there, and feels like they're in a safe space, and feels like it's a place that they can consider home. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, goes far beyond just having a checklist that says I need to have 2 people of color and 3 people of Asian descent and 4 LGBTQI. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to meet all of these people where they are in their community, figure out what their needs are, what we can do to help, and then go help them. And that's the way you make people feel welcome. So I hope that we continue these discussions and continue taking action to move us forward and move us in that direction even further than we've done so far. This club has done a wonderful job in embracing that principle. And I believe that everything that you're doing for disability awareness also falls under the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I look forward to working with all of you over the next year and beyond to help us advance that mission. So those are really the areas where we want to take action over the next year. There's a million things we could do. And one of the hardest things about this role or any leadership role within Rotary is to be able to figure out what you're not going to do, because it's so easy to get distracted and try and take on everything. But hopefully by focusing on these major areas, we'll be able to make progress. We'll be able to raise awareness of Rotary and what we do, and we'll be able to create hope in the world. So that's kind of where I think we're going over the next year, and welcome to hear your comments and ideas about what you want to do and how we can help do that.
Thank you so much, Elliott. You know, one thing that ever since I've known you was impressed me with you was you're a person of action. You have a lot of ideas, but you implement them also. So we much appreciate that, and we're a club of action. So we're doing a lot of things. I did want to mention that we do have a member here from Scotland, Mark Stoddard, and Mark he's not too far away from President Gordon. So we're going to send him over a case of Guinness, and so we can go over there and knock on his door and have a good conversation with him about that. And a couple of things to mention on that particular, and you and I have talked about it, Elliott, that we have in this room several people who are mental health experts, and we would very much like to be a part of Gordon's initiative. And you had mentioned that action group, and if you have a connection with them, I would welcome that, so we can let them know that we're here. If not, I'll be glad to join the action group. And I did want to mention also with Mark. Mark, where are you? Mark, where are you in the world? Are you there, Mark?
Yes, I'm in Bali at the moment. I'm actually, it's near enough 10 o'clock at night here, and we're out for dinner, so I apologize for the noise.
Mark, he's a traveler. He's a traveler around the world, and that's because he's got an initiative to help people with dyslexia. He set up a school in Bali, it just opened. He set up a school in Kenya, it just opened. He's looking at other areas to set up a school. He's a very successful artist. And on that point, Elliott, also, I mentioned it to you. He has a sculpture that he has made. He wants to raise money for dyslexia with that sculpture, but he also wants to raise money for the foundation. Maybe we can designate that the money goes to mental health. How can the district help with that? I guess we need to reach out to Rotary Foundation people around the world and district governors. Is that correct, Elliott?
I think we could talk about how that effort should look and then figure out how to engage people to make that happen. However it's done, it's going to require some sort of local participation to handle logistics. If you want to raise money, we'll have to have a home for that, where that money goes. And one thought that we have about stuff like that is our district has a district charity fund, which is a 501c3. For those of you outside the United States, what that means is that donations from people within the United States that go to an organization designated as a 501c3 are tax deductible. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to other places, but if we engage in a fundraising effort that results in contributions from the US, that becomes an important consideration. And our charity fund is set up to manage those kinds of efforts. So that's one thing we could look at, Ken. And then, we could figure out how we engage others within the Rotary organization with an effort like that, and whether that's a communication out through the district governors and district governors-elect, or whether it's out through zone foundation committees, or whether it's out through all of those, which is also a possibility. We can work to put together a strategy to make it successful.
Appreciate it. Mark's pieces are very, very well known. He's very successful people like Elton John and Madonna and what's his name, who landed on the moon, and Jimmy, the race car driver, all have purchased his pieces and worked with them on it. So it's a huge value to his when he creates something. So it would bring in a lot of money. So it's a serious thing. I have a number of other things I'd like to talk to you about, but I'm going to open up, see if anybody else has something they'd like to mention to you before we get into that. Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question of Elliott or make a point?
Good morning, Elliott. Hello, this is Dr. Tristica from California. I wanted to know, how can I get involved with the mental health part with the Rotary Club? How can we be on a board, or how can we, I know here we have programs and we have partnerships with other mental health specialists. So how can we get involved with our organization and create something with Rotary?
I think the first step, and I think to back up, it's fairly early on in the process. And the Rotary Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives, although it's existed for a number of years, it's really only coming into prominence over the last couple of years, since they have developed toolkits and programming which can be widely used and widely distributed. So one of the things that Rotary is encouraging is for each district to create their own chapter of the Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives. And we are going to do that. The interesting thing about that process is that it requires a couple of things which are different than other chapters of things within Rotary we can do in the district. The first thing that's different is that it requires the entire leadership chain, and that means our district governor, the district governor elect, the district governor nominee, and when we put our next nominee in place, the district nominee designate. So basically 4 years of leadership commitment to the program, so that the program has continuity and longevity. And I think that's very, very important in an effort like this. The other thing that it requires in order to start this chapter is a committee, a leadership committee for the action group that does consist of people that are professionals in the mental health area. And that's a little bit different also, because some of the other action groups don't require that. So there's really an effort to bring this in at a high level. So to answer your question, and that was a really long way to do it, I'm sorry. To answer your question, is as we form this district committee, get involved with that, because I'm sure we will have, meetings both in person and virtual. And I can actually see, subcommittees of that group coming into existence, where we can separate tasks and efforts, and everyone can play a part. The fascinating thing to me about the entire mental health initiative is, and I'll be very honest about this, when I first started this district governor journey, I thought environmental issues were going to be the thing that attracted people to Rotary. And to a certain extent, they do, particularly with younger people and folks that are sensitive to that. But everywhere I go, every club that I visit, and every group of members that we talk to, when the subject of mental health initiatives comes up, everybody's interested, because everybody has a personal story. It touches everybody in some way. So I'm looking forward to figuring out how to make this work in our district, and how to involve as many folks, both that are here locally and that are affiliated with us virtually, in this effort.
Hi, Ellen. And I wanted to answer your question from our point of view. Myself and Ken, we're doing a lot of things that are creating foundation within our actual group, our club. And so with me being new to the board right now, and then having a actual position of inclusion, development, and outreach. One of the things that if you look into Slack, and I know I keep pulling back to Slack, there is the five areas of disabilities, and mental health is the first one. We have a Slack for that. So as I'm just starting to be, I was just put on the board, just had my actual, I'm just able to actually say, okay, I am the chair of this actual committee. So part of what I really wanted to make sure that every community within the disabilities space have like their areas of a group of people leading in those spaces, and mental health is one of them. So we're now I can actually say it. I'm creating things that are able for us to be able to actually set up so we can actually be able to help within those spaces when it's time for us to actually be able to reach out and do our part within the space of disabilities. Because if we're not, if we don't have a foundation and we're not ready to actually be the leaders that we're supposed to be within disabilities, we cannot help out. So we're getting things together. Just be patient with us. Just being able to actually say what subcommittee or committee that I'm over. So just be patient, and then also you'll start seeing some things rolling out the next couple of days around businesses, especially business owners, and also on the different types of 5 communities of disabilities. So then you're able to be able to like again either share the gift or the knowledge that you have around those areas, and or we're able to like organize in a way that we're able to get everyone out there and the things that they do and how they do it. So just wanted to make sure that you guys know that there are things going to be rolled out soon. Just be patient.
Okay, thank you, Guida, and much thank you for what you're doing. Grace Nima, she has her hand up. She's from the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Neman Madamu. I'm really new here and I am so happy to be here. My first question is, when the governor said about 5 areas, I didn't capture number 3. That is, I captured everything, but number 3, I didn't hear it good.
I think that was environmental sustainability, Grace.
Thank you. My second question is about mental health. Mental health, I think we in Democratic Republic of Congo, that is big, great need in that area, and especially people with disability, with the stigma and also discrimination, and they don't have access opportunity to education, and especially for women with disabilities. And that is really kind of where I needed to get, like we have this 1-3 organization here in the United States, and I don't know how to link everything with, I've been working in DRC with mental health with Go Docs, and now we are like maybe now 3 years, 4 years now, I think we are working with Go Docs on mental health. And I don't know, with maybe your help and support, we'll have how to link with our new now new member of this club, creating hope in the world. I think that would be really a big support to link those mental health with Go Docs with our club of Rotary. Thank you so much for this opportunity you are giving to us.
Thank you, Grace. You know, I don't think we have all of the answers yet about, you know, how this is going to work, and how to make all of the connections that need to be made. But I'm certainly, you know, I think we want to explore it and work together to figure that out so that we can make this available as widely as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Grace. So one little story about Grace, which is brings us into another subject, Elliot, is that she was in a club. She came to our club because we were blessed that she came to our club. But her situation was that her club, the where she was on the 3rd floor of a building. She has polio. She can't get up to the club. She can't get to the meetings. And so because she couldn't get to the meetings, they basically ended her membership there, which is not the correct response to it. And I mentioned it to you, Elliot, that we would like to work with the district and maybe focus on the district first about accessibility for people with disabilities, inclusion with people with disabilities, membership with people with disabilities. And I know you're open to the idea. We talked about a disability accessibility chair in each club to make sure that the clubs are accessible. Any thoughts on that, Elliot?
I think it's absolutely an area that we need to continue to focus attention on. I'm very aware of it as I travel from club to club, and it's one of the things that I look for when we visit a club to make sure that there is access and it is accessible. One of the things we have to remember is that our clubs are autonomous, and though we can make recommendations and suggestions to them, we can't tell them what to do, right? So we can only act as guides and advisors and and help define what we think they should be doing. That said, I think all of these issues are definitely things we want to continue to address and raise awareness about, so that we can provide the most welcoming experience we can for as broad a range of people that's possible. We don't want to turn anyone away or feel anyone feel that they're not welcome because we're not thinking, because we don't think about the fact that there's 2 stairs there that you've got to get up in order to get into the restaurant or issues like that. We had a fellow in my club who was a polio survivor. He died a couple of years ago, unfortunately, but he made it his mission to go around to the various locations where we met and make sure that they were accessible, and he'd have conversations with the building management. So I certainly see raising awareness of that. I think I came back and asked you a question about the disability advocate within the club, and whether or not that needs to be what we would consider like a full-time position, or can that be someone who's maybe involved with something else like DEI or even meeting planning, and make that a responsibility of that person. So we also want to be careful about how much we're asking for, as well as what we're asking for.
Yeah, we can discuss that further, but
Yeah.
our role would not be police. Our role would be consultants, and just say, hey, think about this, and it's up to
Exactly.
them to do that. In that position, you and I can talk about it more, but I think it could be a person who has other roles in the organization. My thought was that if we had somebody in each club that we could kind of go over and have a little summit with them, just talk about what is accessibility, that would be a good thing.
Right. And I think we want to involve people like our membership chairs in this kind of conversation, because this is all about membership, right? It's all about creating a warm and welcoming experience, and that touches on so many different things, and this is one of the more important things in those considerations. But it all goes to attracting and engaging members. And if a member can't get into the room to go to a meeting, then we might attract them once, but we're not going to engage them.
And in this room, we have Peter, and I think I've told you a little bit about Peter, and Peter is a digital accessibility expert. He's going to work with us to make sure everything we do is accessible digitally. But he also wants to work with the district and work with the road runner, whatever it's called, road club runner, to help with them. He's been working with them already to make them more accessible. So he's already taken some steps in that direction. So Peter's going to be a blessing to the club and to the district, I think, and maybe be an example for the rest of Road to do.
That's wonderful. We'd like to help and see where that goes, because digital accessibility is really important, and we love to hate Club Runner. But on the other hand, it does do a good job for the things we need it to do, and making it easier to use would be a wonderful thing.
If I can add into that, Elliot, one of the ways I managed to get progress with the Club Runner company is I found out that it's actually a Canadian company based out in Markham, Ontario, and they have more than 50 employees. And they stonewalled me for over a year, saying, no, you need to fix this. And in order to fix this, you need to pay for our additional service to get rid of our ads. So I started going through the Canadian legislation, or more so the Ontario provincial legislation for accessibility. And it specifically states in there, any organizations with 50 or more employees must produce accessible products. So that's how I finally started making leeway with Club Runner. For the most part, anything front facing, so what everyone sees can be made accessible now. It's now the back end and using it all, and that's going to be a fun uphill battle for a while, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah. So and maybe we can at some point, Elliot, I have Peter come in and have a conversation with your leaders and stuff like that, just about how all that, because he's fascinating just to listen to. So it's
sure.
Yeah. Sunil has his hand up. Sunil is not a member of this club, but he is a Rotarian, and he's a member of a club in New York. But he's actually from Pakistan. So Sunil, are you there?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. May I ask my question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is Sunil Aslam from Rotary Heartbeat E-Club. Actually, we are living in a rural area in Pakistan, from village. We are just only 10 members who are from different departments, and we join together. In Pakistan, there is a thinking between rural area and Arabian area, and also between Christian and Muslims as like white and black in America side. So, well, just I want to ask the question, and my question is this: how we can join action group, and how can we exchange our projects and ideas with other groups? Is there any source of as like we have some groups, and is there any e-clubs group or on Facebook page where we submit our ideas, and how can we exchange our projects, as like we are working for females and children's for their rights. So I think we need and we want some other groups also who can work with us on our projects, and how others can join us. Thank you very much.
Sunil, is your question about joining other groups in general within Rotary, or is it specifically about mental health issues?
Yeah, especially for mental matter, especially for you.
So there are a couple of things. I would really recommend that you take a look at the mental health action group, and I'll put that link in the chat momentarily. There's a lot of information there, and we can connect you with the folks that run that group. You can become a member. Right now, I believe there is a fee to join the action group, but one of the other things that will happen is when our district forms our chapter of the action group, that will allow a number of Rotarians to be part of the action group under the umbrella of our district. So we can see what that looks like. But I would definitely recommend that you look at the action group. There are 1 or 2 e-clubs that I am aware of that are operating in the area, in this cause-based area, and I can get those names. We can get those clubs names and information over to you through Ken. You know, that would be the way that I would start to look at it. And the mental health action group is actively trying to start chapters in countries throughout the world. So I wouldn't be surprised to see one being formed where you are at some point in the not too distant future.
Great. We're actually coming to the end of the hour at this point. So I just want Petronella. She's once again from Uganda. She's actually heading up a e-club group. And we're working on it, making it global. Petronella.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ken. Mr. Governor, thank you very much for your insights and your very, very enchanting presentation. I just wanted to, I am not really asking a question, but I wanted to also probably give you also information. So you shouldn't just give us information, we should also give you some information. We have a group of e-club members around the world. We formed one. It is not a fellowship or whatever, but it's just us coming together to enjoy our uniqueness that you mentioned earlier, and also to network and to collaborate, especially on matters to do with carrying out projects in the different countries, in the different places around the world. And about 3 hours from now, we are going to have an e-clubs meeting where we want to put in place a committee that will organize an conference for e-club members. And in that conference, we will also want to showcase our projects within different countries, wherever we are, because e-clubs implement projects wherever they are domiciled. So we want to be able to do that. And I am hoping that we can have you as one of our presenters in our e-club conference, and definitely we'll be giving you information about that. Because we believe that as Rotary talks about diversity, equity, and inclusivity, I think that the e-clubs champion that very well, because we are all over the world and from all sorts of places, and yet, you know, we are one and we are connected by internet. So I just wanted to give you that information, and we will be giving you more information. And also for the members who are here, we would like to do that so that we make e-clubs probably more relevant. In some countries, they may not be that relevant because of our nature of recruitment and also our nature of meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Petronella, I put my contact information in the chat, so it's available to anyone here who wants to reach out.
Yeah.
Sherry?
Where did Ken go? I think Ken might have had a technical glitch. I see Masenga has his hand up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. President, for the presentation that you have made. I am talking from Malawi, and I'm very happy to see the priorities that you have narrated to us. With us in Malawi, all of those areas that you have mentioned, they are a priority. And you should understand that Malawi is the third poorest country in the world. Almost all those things are a non-starter. However, with the connections that I have made with the Rotarians, I talk already started at some of the benefits of networking to help our people in Malawi. For example, Ken introduced a project of distributing Braille books, which we have done in 3 centers in Malawi. Though there are very few, but we know they will make some changes and impact. And Dr. Tristaka also helped us learn on mental health. We had a training for 2 days, online training on mental health. We have already started reaching out to the community, and the demand is very high. So I appreciate that one of the priorities you are emphasizing is on mental health. And we also take mental health as part of the wider area of disability. So on other priorities, here it is a non-starter, and we don't know how vast the work is. So in your plans, plan how you can help this third world country, Malawi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what happened to Ken. He may have run into some technical issues on his end, but I don't see any further questions right now. I appreciate everyone taking the time to join us this morning. I hope it was helpful. Again, in the chat, I put the links to President Gordon's speech on mental health, a link to the Rotary Action Group on mental health initiatives, and my contact information. So please feel free to reach out. Before we leave, Joyce, is there anything you'd like to add as DGN to the conversation? Or DGE, actually DGE, and you're on mute.
Sorry
You need
about
to
that.
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for a very good presentation. And it was wonderful to hear the thoughts from the members of this group. So thank you very much, and please continue to dialogue with us.
Thank you. I see one more hand from Anne.
Oh, thank you, sir. Governor Elliott, sir. My name is Anne Musalia from Kenya. Mine is to take this opportunity to appreciate you for finding time to visit us at the Rotary Club World Disability Advocacy. I find this a great honor and, of course, a true indication that you do care about us and that you are ready to work with us and support us. So I just wish to say the 5 themes that you have described in this meeting resonate quite well with us at the Rotary Club World Disability Advocacy. And I believe very soon, possibly under the direction of President Ken Mason, we shall be sharing our strategies with you based on the 5 themes. We are an action club, and I believe we can do it. And we shall be joining you, yes, to make or to create the hope in the world as our theme for this year. So thank you very much, sir. We are proud to host you this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. The honor is mine.